Am I audible here? Yes. Over the web? If anyone can respond, I think it would be great. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. So before getting started into the DevOps, I wanted to understand why are you here? By why are you here? I mean, why DevOps? There are many other courses, right? What is your reason behind choosing DevOps for future? What do you mean by future? Yes. Yes. But what is the advantage which you will get? Automation వైపు ప్రపంచం వెళ్తుంది కరెక్టే, కానీ మీరు ఎందుకు వెళ్ళారు అటే? Yes. Okay. Adi. I was just speaking about looking about that. Okay. At the end of the day, no matter whatever you are looking out for some salary or brand, right? Brand also eventually will end up and hit at a point what is your package or what is your pay which you are getting, right? That's why all of us are here. If this course is not solving that, then there is no point in joining that course, right? Okay. I heard it's new and efficient way of development. That is something which your company has to think about. But for you and me, it is something which can get us good revenues, right? Good pay packages for us, right? But why? Correct. The problem is, right, we are going to get good packages if you are good at DevOps, right? Get selected in the company. But why do you think that companies are willing to pay, right? So let me ask few questions and you will know the answer yourself. All right. So we have many sites for booking movie tickets. So what is that you are using? Book My Show. Yeah. And next, we, that's secondary, right? Paytm is a, I will not call it as even second. It might stand probably after that. Okay. So we have many sites for booking bus tickets. What is the site which you use? Redbus. Okay. So why Redbus or why Book My Show? Can you tell me the reason for that? Pardon me? They are high rated apps. Okay. Okay. So rating actually, even if I start an application, I will have 5 stars because I will be the only person who is voting. All right. Is there any other reason around it? Discount Paytm లో ఒక్కోసారి బుక్ మై షో కన్నా ఎక్కువ ఉంటాయి. అయినా మనం బై డిఫాల్ట్ వి గో టు book my show. We really not worry about discounts after some point. Initially, yes. Yeah. Pardon me? Tell me one feature of Redbus which is different from other booking site. Okay. Let me tell you one thing. What is the worldwide best cab booking app? Uber. But in India, what is that we use? Ola a lot. Right? Why? అంటే ప్రపంచానికి ఒక స్టాండర్డ్, మన దేశానికి వేరే స్టాండర్డ్స్ ఉంటాయా? So yeah, for all of these three applications which I have spoken, there is one common point. Can you just think hard about it? Redbus was the first bus booking site. Book My Show was the first popular movie booking site. Ola was the first released cab booking application. Yes or no? Yes. So what do we make out of it this now, right now? Whoever releases first has a better market capture. Yes or no? Do you agree to it practically now? Yes. Your and my responsibility is that. So the work which we are going to do is we are here so that our companies can release products faster to the market. That's why they are willing to pay. Why they pay heavy? Because if they release first to the market, just like you said that you will be using Redbus for all the features and all of that, that is all good. But the major point is whoever releases first into the market has a probability of winning, right? In this few years, the only one Stuff which has deviated from this was Flipkart. Flipkart was released first into the Indian market, but Amazon has captured it. But it has taken few years. It was not a smooth ride for Amazon. When it started, Flipkart was a very huge stuff. But now, yeah, with all the best practices, Amazon has came up. That's the difference, right? So whoever releases first to the market will get the market capture. And by learning DevOps, you are helping your companies to achieve that. So what is our job actually now? We help our companies to deliver products faster to the market. Eventually, based out of it, they will get the market capture. That's why you and me are paid faster or more or whatever you call it. Making sense? So now do you understand why DevOps can bring you salaries? First puzzle solved, right? Yeah. Okay. Now the next one. So what is that we do in DevOps? First, we have realized that okay, we have to release products to faster to the market, and now next thing which we need to understand is what is that we have to do. Even companies are releasing products today. Okay, even with or without DevOps, they are releasing products to the market, right? So what is that you and me are going to improve? Okay, so let us slightly. Generally, I used to show the slides, but from past batch, I have stopped showing slide on the demo. Let us discuss rather than having one slide where I speak about it, right? So, do you agree to this? Saying that, let me write some steps. Let me use Notepad first. This is a problem. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, so the steps are: one, developers write code. Do you all agree to this? For every product that is being launched, developers have to write some sort of code. Next step, what do you think is the next step after that? They basically they write the code and they send it to some common place. I'm trying not to use any technical term here. Common place, so that the other people also can look at what they have developed. All right. Later on, I'll define what is the each product that is used for this and what is it technically called. Does it make common sense? They have written the code in their laptop, and later on they will move that code to some place where others can also see it and others can also build it. Second step. Next, what do you think is the next step? We have developed our code. Our code is ready. Next, yeah, test the code or application. Yes or no? Yeah. Here, when I say this, I speak of all kinds of testing. Let it be unit testing, let it be Selenium testing, or whatever it is. Right? All sorts of testing. And when the testers agree to this, okay, what will you do it? We will release to customer after various testing phases, software development life cycle. Simple, right? Now, when I say test the code or application, right? To test the code or application to the testers, will I give code? Tester ni test cheyadaniki, application test cheyadaniki code istana. So what should I give? Something which is running. Okay, that stuff I'll call it as environment. So I'm writing in the third step, I'll write something like 3.1, prepare environment for various kinds of testing. Initially, I might start with system testing and then automated testing, performance testing. You name it, we will have all of that. 3.1, 3.2, and all of that, right? But before 3.1 itself, I'm just calling it as 3.2. Okay. I cannot give the code, right? Can I give the code? Can I use the code for preparing the environment? Not in many languages. So what I would do, I would convert the code into, right, some packaging format. So for example, if you want to install Google Chrome on your system, you don't take Google Chrome's code, right? You would download Google Chrome, you'll get something, you'll double click it, and you'll get Chrome installed on your machine. That is the packaging format of Chrome. Similarly, for every application, there will be some sort of packaging format. We have to get that, and then we have to deploy this. Do you agree to this? All of this now, right? So, apart from first step, apart from first step, we are here to automate all of them. Code writing we don't automate, but once the code has been written, till it goes to the customer, we try to automate each and every point possible. When we try to automate, what happens? The time taken for it reduces. The time taken for it reduces, and then when the time taken for it reduces, obviously our product will go faster to the market. All right. So whole of DevOps lies in two principles: time to market, business value. Time to market, and we have known the importance of time to market because we have discussed about some applications. Now let me discuss about business value. To do this automation, right, I can purchase tools which are costlier. Yeah, there is nothing wrong in that. But if I reduce cost there, if I take open source tools, if I take tools which do not charge too much to my organization, then I am saving further more cost, which makes my business more profitable. Right? So whenever you are choosing, you will choose a tool which will reduce your time and also which is cost effective. These are the two parts of DevOps. One is making it cost effective. The other one is reducing time to market. Make sense? Right? So let me give a couple of examples before I basically elaborate on these steps. We all use Amazon shopping site, right? Yes. Have you ever seen any bugs on that? మీరు వాడుతున్నప్పుడు ఏమైనా బగ్లు వచ్చినాయి అందులోని? Very rarely. You will not see those often. But what is happening on your company's applications? We see quite frequently. Yeah, that might be because of the domain knowledge which we have. That's a different story. But the Facebook, right? So how much time in your company is happening from 1 to 4? Developer has written the code. It has to reach to the customer. Typically, what is the time that your company is taking? Approximately, right? Approximately days. In some companies, weeks. In some companies, months. All right. In Facebook, once the developer writes the code, it is in production in 1 hour. In Amazon, once the developer writes the code, it is in production in 1.5 hours. Are those products not stable? They are stable. And have you ever seen any notification on Flipkart or Facebook or Amazon saying that today from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock we are doing system maintenance, so please don't access Facebook or Amazon? Have you ever seen this? But what is happening to our company's deployments? We needed downtime. All right. So we want to get away from all of this. So eventually DevOps is this. Right. So if you have seen the scope of it, okay, you have many things to do. You have to understand how do I package the code, right? How do I execute tests automatically, right? And how do I prepare environment so that the testers can test? And later on, how will I move to production? So these are your challenges, right? And now these are the basic activities with respect to our major activity. But apart from this, we'll have one more activity, which is to do this, we will use a lot of servers, right? Let it be our servers or let it be production servers or test servers. If those servers have some issues, we should know them upfront because we are trying to save time, right? So that's the reason why we would need some sort of a monitoring stuff so that we will look into every system whether it is working correctly or not, whether it is behaving as per our needs or not. This is what the complete DevOps in a big picture is. If I have to give you a 1 lakh feet overview of what a DevOps is, this is what a DevOps is, right? Now you might ask, okay, developers write code, but you have not spoken in which language? Are they writing the code in Java? Are they writing the code in .NET? Are they writing the code in Python? Because people use multiple languages, right? Yeah. So how are we going to solve that? Our problem is very simple. We really don't need to understand what they have written. Our statement is not one. We are not doing that. From two, we need it. And to work from step two, you really don't need a programming language, or you need not be a developer. So that's why here, if you have a programming knowledge, it is good. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have a programming knowledge, you will not be able to do DevOps. No. Is it clear? So we might not use the or write the code, but our input is code. To the DevOps process, your input is code, the common place, and from there your work starts. From there your work starts. Make sense? Looking good? Yeah? Okay. Now let us elaborate this discussion. Let us elaborate this discussion so that we will understand some more technical points. Right? Okay. Now, so let me go over here. This is a common place where the code is being present. Right? This I am calling it as version control system. The place where developers try to put their code so that the others can use it, or whatever purposes, we call it as version control systems, right? And then next, what is it we have to do? We have to test the code, right? So when I have to test the code, I said that convert the code into some packaging format. That is the first step, right? But some programming languages have one more step, which is compile the code also. For example, if you have written Python, 0 might not be 3.0 is not required. But if you have written the code in C, C sharp, Python, all of this, you might still require to compile them. Right? So 0 or 1. Some languages have 3.0 and 3.1. Some languages just have 3.1. So for example, you have written, your company is using Node.js for development. You will not have compilation. You will just have packaging. They're using Python, packaging. Right? So it depends on the programming language that you have to. So I will write this as compile, or I'll just write C plus UT, compile plus unit testing. Making sense? This is our second box. Compilation might not be there in some languages, but unit testing will be there in many languages. If your company is little bit following standards, they will write unit tests. Right? Now the next question: where will we do that? We said we want to do compilation and unit testing, but what is the machine? Where do we do that? When do we do that? Right? Two important questions. I రెండు చేయాలి. ఎలా చేయాలి secondary story. But I have to basically know where do I need to do that, and when do I need to do that. Right? And one more step apart from this is packaging. I'm just writing it as pack. Right? Packaging. Is it making sense? Developer writes the code, he puts it into some version control system. We have to take that code. Depending on the language, you need to compile and unit test it, and then we need to package that. Right? A system which is responsible for doing this, or this process, right? We call it as CI, continuous integration. And continuous integration is, when do I need to take the code from VCS? This is your company's process. Some companies do this whenever developer commits it. Some companies do it every 1 hour or every 2 hours. It's their choice. Okay. So ఎప్పుడు జరుగుతుంది అన్నది మీ ప్రాసెస్. When it happens is your process. Right? If your company is smaller, they will do it whenever developer commits it. If your company is a bit huge, then they might have a fixed timeline. For every 1 hour, I'll do this. And between 1 hour, whoever have committed, all of this their work will be here. So that is your company's process. Right? So can I draw a direction like this? Yeah. Now We have compiled and unit tested, so we get results, and then we package our application, right? So now let me take some examples over here. Let us assume that we are building. I'll start with with the language which is most popularly used, Java. So developers write Java code, right? We compile the code and then we package the code, right? So compile plus unit testing. There are many tools to do this, but the most popular one is Maven. We use Maven to achieve this. Maven పని ఏంటి? జావా కోడ్ ని కంపైల్ చేయటం, యూనిట్ టెస్ట్ చేసి రిజల్ట్స్ మనకి ఇవ్వటం. దట్ రిజల్ట్స్ విల్ షో టు ద యూజర్స్. Is it making sense? What is the importance of this tool? Right? We will have something called as Gradle for this also. So whenever in DevOps syllabus you are seeing something like Maven and Gradle, he is trying to tell about compilation and unit testing of Java or Java based languages. Make sense? Right. Now let me speak about one more language, which is .NET. Okay, the second most popularly used. So again the same purpose, C plus or compilation plus unit testing. So for this we would be using MS build, Microsoft build, right, which is from Microsoft itself, right? There we have many tools. I'm just putting it as Maven and Gradle, but there is something like Ant there. There is something like traditional Java compiler there and all of that. But these are the popular ones. Okay, over here, this is the same story. MS Build is the most popularly used, but you have many other things. You have Nant, you have many other things. The only thing which you need to know is using these tools, how do I compile and how do I execute unit tests? All right. Let me tell you the command also. అంటే మన వర్క్ ఎలా ఉంటుందో చెప్తాను చూడండి. So here you would be executing mvn. If you do compile, mvn is Maven, mvn compile test. That's it. This is what you need to know, right? Our responsibility is not knowing these commands. These commands can be easily googled. We should know how they work, right? And whenever something goes wrong, how do I send this error information to my developers? You are not going to fix it, right? So but most of the people fell a trap in understanding those commands, because ఇవాళ మ్యావెన్ ఉంది, 3 ఏళ్ల తర్వాత మ్యావెన్ ఉంటుంది, ఇంకో బెటర్ టూల్ వస్తుంది. So always understand the steps or logically why we use it, rather than really looking out for command lines, because command lines can be easily googled, right? Fine. Similarly, ms build space path of your project file. Done. It will do the job, right? Okay, now let me go with every other language will have something like this, right? Do you agree to this? Now by looking at this pattern, you might have understood that if I have to use C language, I'll be using something called as makefile. There is something called as make, and then I'll be building operation. So depending on your languages, the tools change, but why you are doing it, is it changing? What was our in both the steps? What is it I'm trying to do? I'm trying to do compilation plus unit test. So to use MS build, I don't need .NET. To use Maven, I don't need Java. But we need to understand how these tools work. Right. So compilation and unit testing done, but packaging, right? So for this we will add. Okay, so this will give us some kind of Java specific formats. It could be something like var, jar, or whatever it. That is the Java's way of doing it. Here we do with MS build. Okay, we get something like exe, DLL. These are Java specific. So every programming language might have its own packaging format, right? In some languages we will have packaging formats which are zip or tar, which we already use. Zip file is something which we use almost daily, right? So that's it. So is this phase looking good? But this we don't want to do it manually. We want someone to take care after that. So for that reason, we use a system which is called as continuous integration. And in continuous integration, we configure continuous integration in such a way that for every 1 hour or whenever a developer pushes the code, it will do its work. That configuration is your and my responsibility. And for to do this, right, in CI we use a tool called as సింపుల్. సో మనకు maven ఎందుకు వాడతారో అర్థమైంది, రైట్? And why do we use ms build, why do we use gradle, and why do we use vcs? And in vcs we use a tool called as git. There are many. There is subversion, there is clear case, there are a hell lot of tools, but I'm trying to tell the tools which are most commonly used. Is it making sense? Right? Okay, so we have git, we have ci, we have jenkins. Wonderful. Now we have built the code, we have packaged the code. Then what is the next step? We have to give it to testers, right? So to testers, how do I give it? I need to give it in a format where the application is accessible. Let us assume that we are building a e-commerce site. So to the testers, your application should be deployed in such a way that they will type http:// some URL and they will be getting the application out. Making sense? Right? So adela chestam. How do we do that? So generally, let us assume my application is a website. All right? Then I'll be creating a web server. When I say web server, Apache is the most popular and free web server. Okay, I will install that web server on a Linux machine, and then I'll be installing some applications onto it, or my zip file or my web pages, whatever is that on that. Make sense? Right? But this is that a manual effort? Yes. Right? We try to automate that. We try to automate that. So what is the input of this? We need a Linux machine. All right, we take that Linux machine as an input and we make it as web server with our application deployed. Make sense? Mana web server oka Linux machine తీసుకొని మన application install చేసుకుంటున్నాం. Right? This work is done manually, but I want to automate this. I want to automate this. So for this we use something called as configuration. For this we use something called as configuration management, and this is the place where your chef and Ansible will come. Making sense? Right. But how about the Linux machine? Chef and Ansible will work once you have an operating system, once you have Linux machine. But who will give that Linux machine? All right? Is that Linux machine in your office or is it on the cloud? It can be anywhere. Depending on your companies, it can be in your office or it can be on the cloud. Do I need to create the Linux machine every time? Right? So it is just not having the Linux machine, and then you need to sometimes create the Linux machines also. So if you need to create this Linux machine, so I would call it as the machines or our needs, I will call it as infra. So for all of your infrastructural needs in the virtual world, let it be cloud, let it be vSphere or whatever it is, we use tools like Terraform or Packer to get infra. So now Terraform or Packer will give you the Linux machine, and once you have the Linux machine, Chef and Ansible will do the deployment for you. Making sense? All right. So next, from here, I'll be doing that aspect, which is I am calling it as IP. By IP, I mean infra provisioning. Infra provisioning. Okay, infra provisioning might not be required every day. అంటే ఎందుకంటే Linux machine daily create చేయం మనం. Probably you might create once in 2 weeks. Right? Then we will use the tools like Terraform or Packer. But every day we will get the build. So that's why we need to do configuration management. Right? So now see what it is doing. You have the code, you take the code, you compile the code, you test the code, right? And once your code is tested, then you would create a package out of it. And once that package is available, you are creating the infra provisioning, and then you are trying to create basically an environment where your testers can test it, right? So basically this is, I will call it as environments for office usage. Make sense? Environments for office usage. So if you have done till this point, if your automation is just till this point, we call it as continuous delivery. దీన్ని ఏమంటాం? You're automating, but you're automating till your company itself. You are creating test environment, you are creating dev environments, you are creating staging environments. You will create multiple environments so that the employees in your company can basically use this, right? Now if I do one more step, and from here if I take it to the production or customer, whatever you call it, all right, production. Okay, for production you don't use different tools, you use the same tools again, all right, but we will have one more strategy around it. But now what is that we are doing? Developer has written the code, we are compiling the code, we are testing the code, right? And then we deliver that code, and from them, well, if everything is looking good, then from that point we take it and give it to our customers. So let me just try to draw some areas. Only till here continuous integration, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. So I'm defining three important terms in DevOps. Continuous integration, whenever developer commits the code, you do the unit testing, you do the basic sanity, and then you get the package out of it. That is continuous integration. You basically, whenever developer commits the code, you do unit testing, you do package the code, and you also prepare your test environments in your office. Continuous delivery. Developer does the code, okay, you do unit testing, you do packaging, you create basically test environments, right? And also you release it to the production server. Continuous deployment, continuous deployment. Our focus will be till here, because not many companies are doing continuous deployment. Okay, because for continuous deployment అంటే మనం మాట్లాడతాం దాని గురించి, right? But when you tell that you have done continuous deployment, you might have some troubles in your interviews, because suddenly senior people will be interested in you, right? So that is till here you will tell in your interview, but we will be learning till continuous deployment. మీరు రెజ్యూమ్లో రాసుకునేటప్పుడు will not tell that you have done continuous deployment, right? Because that is a complicated area, right? Because that is something which is customer facing. Anything goes wrong, you are responsible for that. So is it making all of the sense, right? And now for doing this we need many servers, yes or no? And apart from this, for our applications we will have their own servers, right? So we do two kinds of monitoring. We do two kinds of monitoring for this. One monitoring is system monitoring, which is common sense, right? System monitoring is whether my machine is doing good, whether it is accessible, right? Whether it has free disk space, all of this. And the next one is application monitoring. How is my application doing? Is it going good? Are there any errors? Do I need to fix certain areas? All of this. So this is our world. A typical DevOps engineer's day might be anywhere in these boxes. అంటే మన రోజు ఉద్యోగం వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఈ ఈ ఏరియాలో ఎక్కడన్నా ఉండొచ్చు. ఇట్ కెన్ బి ఎనీవేర్, రైట్? సో version control system Git, continuous integration Jenkins, and in that to build and compile, where there are many tools. For Java we'll be using Maven, and for .NET we'll be using MS Build, right? And similarly for every language will have its own tools, right? And then whenever we speak of delivery or creating the test environments or staging environments, we'll be using infra provisioning and configuration management. For infra provisioning we'll be learning Terraform and Packer, and for configuration management we'll be learning Chef and Ansible. And basically rest the same tools are being used, but we'll have some more tools, some more knowledge which is required to do continuous deployment. Making sense, right? Okay, now before I take questions, I want to discuss few more aspects about it. So what is it? What does it take? So to become or to be able to do this, okay, what is that is required? Fine. So do you want to, some of the people are making a note of it, let me wait till they finish. Just give me a nod once you are finished with this. Yeah. లుకింగ్ గుడ్. యా, డెవాప్స్ అంటే ఏంటో అర్థమైందా, ఎందుకు చేస్తారు ఏంటి? దట్స్ వై ఎవ్రీ కంపెనీ నీడ్స్ ఇట్, because every company writes code, right, in their own language, whatever it is, right? So they want to go to the production. The tools might change. Your company might be using Python, your company might be doing a web development, your company might be doing something else, but they write the code, they give it to the customers. This doesn't change. That's the whole stuff. But when I directly get into these technical terms, I have to explain more. I have to explain more about what is customer branch, what is release branch, how do you know which build has to happen, and all of that. I'm not bringing in all of the technology today. I'm just wanted it to have a very lighter note on what we want to do, so that we understand what is DevOps, why we do DevOps. ఈ రెండు అర్థమైతే వాళ్ళకి నా ఉద్దేశం పూర్తయినట్టే, రైట్? సో that's my main motive for today. I'm really not looking out for అండర్స్టాండింగ్ టెక్నాలజీ, టెర్మినాలజీ అండ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దట్, రైట్? సో ఆ టూల్స్ చూస్తే ఎందుకు వాడతారో మీకు తెలిస్తే చాలు. జెన్కిన్స్ ఎందుకు వాడతాం? We use Jenkins for this, we use Maven for this, we use Chef for this, we use Ansible for this, we use Terraform for this, we use Packer for this, right? Yes, you can or you cannot, right? You, basically, for example, in production, whenever, so let me tell you a very simple strategy. I'll not use technology. So in this room we have 4 lights. I want to replace 4 tube lights with new 4 tube lights. LED కి మారిపోదాం అనుకుంటున్నా, right? So there are 2 ways: switch off all the lights, change them. Yeah, quite a common sense, right? So this is the approach which your companies are following right now. That's why they ask for downtime. That's why they ask for downtime. Now what I would do is, since I have to change 4 lights, I'll switch off 2, and those 2 lights I'll move it to new LEDs. Once those 2 are working, then I'll switch off 2 new LEDs, and then I'll switch off 2 old lights, and then basically I'll put the new 2 lights there. Now during this process my room still had light. During this process my room still had light. Was it a full light? Might not be, but there was lighting in the room. This is a deployment which we'll be going towards, and to be very specific, this deployment is called as blue green deployment. సో ఇలాంటివి తెలుసుకోవాలి. డిప్లాయ్మెంట్ కొత్తగా టూల్ ఏం అవసరం లేదు, బట్ యూ షుడ్ నో వాట్ ఇస్ బ్లూ గ్రీన్, వాట్ ఇస్ క్యానరీ అండ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దట్ విల్ బి స్పీకింగ్ అబౌట్. దిస్ ఇస్ కామన్ సెన్స్, రైట్? రూమ్ లో 4 లైట్లు ఉన్నాయి, 2 మార్చాలి. ఒకటి ఏంటంటే అన్ని కట్టేసి రూమ్ మొత్తాన్ని చీకటి చేసి లైట్లు మార్చుకోవచ్చు. దట్ ఈస్ ద డౌన్ టైమ్ అప్రోచ్. దట్స్ వై యూ విల్ గెట్ ద నోటిఫికేషన్ సేయింగ్ దట్ టుడే అవర్ సర్వర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ వర్కింగ్ ఫ్రమ్ 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock, ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ యూజ్ అవర్ అప్లికేషన్. This is switching off for the lights, right? Other thing is, I look at my application daily night after 12. Not many customers are using my application, so let me switch off 2 lights and then change them to something new. This is blue green, right? You need to learn these strategies. పెద్దగా టూలింగ్ అవసరం ఉండకపోవచ్చు కానీ, but you need to understand this, right? So how do you do deployment without basically customer not being able to use your application or being able to use your application? That's the strategy. That's the whole point. Yeah, okay, fine. We have written, making a note of this, right? Yes. So all things looking good, but to do this, what is beginning? Where should I start from? Where should I start from? Do I need to know anything before I basically start over here? First thing which I expect all of you to mandatorily have is, because we don't have equal capabilities when we start. Some people might be good at something. ఆ బాక్స్ లో అన్ని కొత్త ఏరియాలని నేను అన్నాను. If you are a tester, you might know about it already, right? If you are an admin, that might be a new area, whatever it is, right? So first thing which I require as a prerequisite is willingness to learn, and at least take 2 hours per day on this, doing it, because this is not a theoretical subject. This is not something where people ask saying that, okay, can you tell me what is the definition of DevOps? No, they will ask what is the scenario which you have worked on. Can you explain what is your delivery pipeline? By the way, this is called as delivery pipeline. మనం ఏమైతే బాక్సులు గీసామో దీన్ని ఇంకా డీటెయిల్డ్గా గీస్తే దీన్నే డెలివరీ పైప్ లైన్ అంటాం. We call it as delivery pipeline, right? So the interviews will be like that. So willingness to learn and practice is very important area. If you don't have time, you have known enough in DevOps, from tomorrow don't come. Because అనవసరంగా మీరు నాకు డబ్బులు ఇస్తాను తప్ప దానివల్ల మీకు ఉపయోగం ఏమీ లేదు. If you don't have willingness to learn, if you don't have time to practice, don't join. ఈ సేమ్ నేను చెప్పిన డెమోని కొంచెం అటు ఇటు మార్చివ్వండి, అక్టోబర్ నెలలో మంచి జీతం హైక్ వస్తుంది. దిస్ గై ఈస్ డూయింగ్ సమ్ ఎక్స్ట్రా యాక్టివిటీస్ అండ్ ఎనఫ్, పర్పస్ సాల్వ్, రైట్? But for the people who want to join seriously, please look out for these two things. And what these two things will guarantee you is next 5 to 10 years of career. Right? And remember, this doesn't stop here. Because today I'm using Maven. Today I'm using Jenkins. What will change in DevOps? Will DevOps go like how SAP has gone or all of that? No, DevOps will not go. Jenkins might go. Chef or Ansible might go. We might basically speak with altogether new set of tools because many companies are working on it. When we get a new product, we might use it. All right? So, కొత్త విషయాలు జరగచ్చు ఇందులో, కానీ డెవాప్స్ వెళ్ళదు. Because DevOps is not a tool. Neither DevOps is something which is basically trying to tell you deliver the products faster to the market by spending less resources. This will never change. The tools which we use in DevOps, will they change? Yes. They will definitely change. They will definitely change over time. Right? So, willingness to learn and practice, and then first thing is, so let me surprise you. భయమవుతుంది కదా ప్రోగ్రామింగ్, మళ్ళీ జావానా, సి షార్ప్, డాట్ నెట్ ఏంటి? I don't require programming language. I require programming knowledge. Right? I don't need any language. I don't need you to know C sharp, nothing. I need to understand, you guys to understand, you should be in a position to write some script. So, for example, if the D drive is full, then you need to run the cleanup script. So how do you think about it? You will write a if condition. That is a knowledge. How to write a if condition is a language knowledge. I am not expecting that. I am expecting you to just have this knowledge. Because and what does it take to have a programming knowledge? Just logical sense. That's it. Nothing more than that. I am not expecting any syntaxes from you. I am not expecting anything from you. And this discussion will, by the time you finish your course, you should be good at, because most of our environments were initially designed for Linux machines. All of the DevOps started with Linux. Yeah, now it is moving to other operating systems, right? So, and the one which I have not spoken in this demo completely, which is very important area for you, is Docker and very important area. This is a new way of deploying applications, very simple way of looking into applications, right? So this is very, very important, right? We'll be covering about it. Fine. So then what is this? What is this Docker? What is this all about? Docker is an execution area. Ante. To be very simple, Docker is an execution area. But now let me tell you one simple example. Okay. So let us assume that I have a very huge website. Now there is a website, right? That website I'll deploy on a web server. Yes or no? Yes. Now every web server will have something like concurrency limit. What is concurrency limit is how many users can access my web server right now. So let us assume, for mathematical simplicity, let us assume it is 5. 5 userlu oka web server no vaadachu. Now the users are 10. What should happen? 5 userlu oka web server lo access chesukochu. Now I have 10 users. Okay, your server is capable of 5, which means we need 2 servers. Which needs we made 2 servers. So we have 10 users because registration, we have run a campaign. We have run a campaign, ad campaign in Facebook or social media marketing or whatever we say. So whoever registers into our e-commerce site will get a Paytm cashback. Right. So what is happening on your application right now? Many registrations, right? And your server, let us assume your server is a 32 gig RAM server. మీ సర్వర్ వాడుతున్న సర్వర్ ఒక సైజ్ ఏంటంటే 32 GB of RAM and 2 terabytes of hard disk. So you need exact same configuration of one more server and you will put it. All right? Good. Now, this is the way which you will follow. If you go to the cloud, you can automatically do it. Whenever there is a load, it will increase, and whenever there is no load, it will decrease. But Docker is questioning that approach. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to bring one beast again? So what Docker, or what this micro, there is a term called as microservice. What they will do is, let us assume you have application. They will break your application or cut down your application into 3 or 4 simple services. It will be more, but I'm saying 3 or 4. So let us assume your application was broken down into something like registration service, admin service, user service, something like this. Okay. Now what is happening on your application? Registration is happening, administration is happening, or user is happening. Registration is happening a lot. So rather than bringing the complete application again, I can bring 2 registration services, right? Because each registration service can run alone. Avuna? Application 3 భాగాలు చేశాను, right? 3 different parts I am running in 3 different isolated areas. And what is in demand right now is registration. So I will bring up one more registration, not the complete application. So what is happening? Am I saving cost? Yes, I don't need one more huge server, but still I am basically able to cater to 10 users, right? Without scaling the complete application. Inko kotta server risk rakunda. Is it saving cost? Better way of doing the things. So these kind of things can be realized in Docker and Kubernetes. Okay. I know that it is still an area which might be slightly confusing to you when you start with, but wait for the time. We will end our course with Docker and Kubernetes, then you will come to know the complete idea of it. Right? But very important area. Idi lekunda DevOps interview ki elakandi. Without Jenkins, without scripting, and without Docker, there is no point in going to DevOps interviews. There is no point, because this is where companies are coming from. This is what they want. Fine. These are the 4 areas, and apart from that, we will have one 5th area, which is executing some real-time scenarios. Okay. Even if you don't do this 5th step, you might be selected in the interview. But if you go into the 5th step, basically you can negotiate for the best package, right? Because you will not be telling the interview question and answers. What is DevOps? Google lo first page lo vachindi. DevOps is a cultural change. You don't do that. So whenever you do this some real-time activities, what you would be able to do is you would be able to answer them in a practical way. And generally, this is a hands-on course, and the interviewer will expect a lot from you from here. So these are the 5 critical points. Okay, apart from the other learning, I'm not saying that Jenkins is not important, all of that. But without these 5, don't even think of going to the DevOps center. Right? Is it making sense? Yeah. So does anyone have a doubt now? Why do we do DevOps? DevOps ఎందుకు చేస్తాం అన్న డౌట్ ఏమైనా ఉందా? Yeah, simple, right? We do DevOps because we want to increase our products market capture. How do we do that? We release quicker to the market. We release quicker to the market than our competition. When a product goes first into the market, it would obviously have a market capture, like what Redbus is having, like what BookMyShow is having, right? Like what Ola is having. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea around DevOps. Right. Now let me look at questions from the web. I think I've spoken about Docker, but yeah, I know I have not gone to the technical extent, because that is for understanding Docker, you need to understand what a VM is. So I don't expect that from you on the day one. So I've tried to simplify it. Break your applications, smaller pieces, smaller piece give to Docker, it can run effectively for that. How do we do that? That is our responsibility, and we'll be learning that very soon. Right. I don't have an idea of any programming language. You don't need any programming language. Any programming language is not required. Right? So if you want to learn any programming language, since you don't have any, apart from this course, what we also offer is we have Python core classes, right? Which are part of this itself. You don't need to pay extra penny for that, right? So, but you need to schedule your time. Find out what is your time to which the Python classes match, and you are eligible to go to that classes, right? Let it be online or let it be classroom. For both of the people, it is allowed, right? Okay, you can still work on DevOps, because there are many people who are like you, who don't have the knowledge of, or who can't write any programming, but they are still working, right? Yes. What about Dockers? I think I have spoken about it. You said Maven is Java based and MS Build is, but there are many other languages. Do we need to learn all of them? No, you can't. There is no point in learning all of them, right? But in when I'm speaking about Maven, I've told you we don't need to learn complete Maven also to work, to understand. Yes. So what was the command which I have said? MVN, compile, test, package. That is a command which you will use. Eventually, that is the only command in Maven which you are going to use. మన Maven గురించి దగ్గర 2-3 గంటలు మాట్లాడుకున్నా. Even if we speak about Maven for 2-3 hours, eventually the only command in Maven which you are going to use is mvn, compile, package, and test. Or you will write simply mvn package to be more specific. All right? I have told you what is the command in Maven which you are going to use already. Yeah, we will learn the other areas to gain knowledge, and that will come by experience. You can't uh, basically have all of that in one day, right? Yes. uh, I am new, so will it take everything from basic? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. There are many people like you. Don't worry about it. Do I need to install Linux on my system to learn shell scripting? Not required. Not required. Yeah, there are a couple of ways of doing it. One is you can create a cloud account, or you can use some software on your Windows machine which will still give you the execution capabilities of shell scripts. So whatever that makes sense to you, right? But for in the DevOps class, we will be creating Amazon cloud account. Amazon cloud account, because in some cases we might need to work with multiple servers, and I'm quite sure that most of us don't have capability of multiple servers at home and all that. మా ఇంట్లో 3 లినక్స్ సర్వర్లు ఉన్నాయండి అన్నోళ్ళు ఎంతమంది చేతులు ఎత్తండి? Will not have it, because we do really not are not from that. So what we do is we use Amazon cloud to simulate those kind of environments, right? And Amazon cloud, we try to stick to the free tier plan for 1 year. There are certain free plans, and we try to stick mostly to it. And when you do extensive planning, and if you use Amazon effectively, your monthly billing will not go beyond బాగా అరాచకంగా వాడైతే 500 రూపాయలు బిల్ అవుతుంది, right? It is the price of 2 halims. That's it, right? Fine. How can I learn shell script? There is no need for you. We will have a shell scripting class altogether from here. But don't expect that I have to start DevOps once I know shell scripting. That day will never come. షెల్ స్క్రిప్టింగ్ అంతా బాగా నేర్చేసుకొని ఆ తర్వాత డెవాప్స్ నేర్చుకుందాం అంటే మళ్ళీ 3 ఏళ్ళలో 4 ఏళ్ళు ఆడుతుంది, right? So that will not happen. We will learn eventually, because we will not know everything when we start, right? How about the online people to do the practice? Okay, so basically even for the classroom people, right, they do practice on their systems, and whenever they have queries, I will be tomorrow from the mail you will be getting a URL. In that URL you can raise the question and you will be answered. So we have almost the same approach for online or classroom people. మీకు ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే ఒక URL ఉంటుంది, అక్కడ మీరు క్వశ్చన్ పోస్ట్ చేస్తారు, అండ్ ద క్వశ్చన్ విల్ బి ఆన్సర్డ్, right? And apart from that, you can always speak with me. You can always speak with me. The mail IDs and Satish's number will be given, right? But I might not be available for the complete day because I still work. After this class, after the cloud class, I rush to the office. So I'm still working. So I might not be available for the complete day, but on Saturdays, generally I'm here. On Saturdays, I'm generally here. So if you have anything to speak, for basically for a smaller conversation, you can have it with me here itself. But if it is a long conversation, we can have it over the weekend, right? Fine. Yeah, I think you will be getting the recorded session, so don't worry about it. Yeah. So that's the stuff. Any questions from the room? అంతా వచ్చేసిందా? Yeah, it is required. It is required, but it is not required to an expert extent that you are an administrator. So the approach of the class would be whatever we are trying to do. So scripting ఎక్కడ కావాలో చెప్తాను చూడండి. So where is that we are trying to use chef? Once we have a package and we have to install it on a Linux machine, right? So for that there will be Linux steps, some commands on it, right? So let us assume that there are 3 commands. So rather than executing those 3 commands daily, I will write a script around it. That is a shell script. In chef, what you do is, rather than writing a shell script, you will write chef. So what we will do is, we will anyway those 3 manual steps I will be doing manually first. Okay, then I will tell if you have to write a shell script, copy all of the commands and put it in a sh file. That is the second approach. Third approach is use chef for Ansible, and we'll be doing it. So it is not that you need to know before we start chef for Ansible. During chef for Ansible, you can learn it. That's the approach, because it will be more academic if I say that okay, let us start from Linux scripting and all of that. But fortunately, what is happening to you is our next 2 weeks of discussion is on Windows DevOps. Okay, we might not be using shell scripting, but we'll be learning something called as PowerShell. We'll be learning something called as PowerShell. We'll be learning PowerShell DSC also. Okay, so which is a new world in PowerShell, which can do configuration management on Windows servers. So we do this. We are having a background of scripting once you go to there. So for you, you are lucky enough to basically, that's fine. But it is not merely a requirement to say that you need to know everything before you start, but you can know everything after, by the time you finish. That would be my approach of really looking at things, right? Yes. Okay. Is there any minimum requirement of laptops or to install and practice at home? So I would expect at least 8 gigs of RAM for you, for your work to be comfortable. Even 4 will work, but 8 is a better thing to do, right? So because you'll be creating more on cloud, right? But 8 is something which will help you because you can use your local infra also sometimes, right? So 8 with 7 or 10, not 8. Windows 8 operating systems, if you have, please either go to 10 or come back to 7. Right? Anyway, if you have Linux and Mac, no problem at all. If you are using Linux or Mac systems, it is okay. There is no need for you to change anything. All right? Okay. Okay. I want to also attend your cloud training. Yeah, please. We have a class after this at 8:40. I'll be starting the demo of it. 8:40, 8:45 time. So you can attend that. For the people who are interested in to understand what is there in the cloud, you can stay back. Yeah. Are we going to cover only basics in Docker and Kubernetes? I would not call them as basics. I would call them as to do continuous deployment. We do continuous deployment on Kubernetes. All right. So we go to that extent. And మనం ఒక application కి continuous deployment చేస్తాం. And continuous deployment, as I said, is the last stage. And we'll be in a position to do continuous deployment once we learn Kubernetes. All right. Will you take in-depth in cloud? Yeah, that's the whole point. That's the whole point why cloud and basically DevOps are separated. Because if I take cloud over here, I have to speak here. Even here, we speak only about virtual machines. But if you go to the cloud, there we speak about every aspect of cloud. Every aspect required for architect or an administrator in the cloud is what is covered in our cloud classes. Right. So cloud, I think I'll stick it when I speak about cloud. But let us stick to DevOps now. Are you providing cloud classes, cloud access for no sir? For the prices which we take, giving the cloud access might not be financially feasible. All right, we cannot. And basically what we do is we ask you to create a free tier account. All right, because Microsoft is giving a free tier Azure cloud account which you can use for 1 year for free for some services. Amazon is also doing the same. All right, so if you create 2 accounts, you can use approximately 2250 hours of a virtual machine per month for free. So that's what is possible. All right, so we don't give cloud access to anyone. All right, so for that we have to increase our prices like what generally the professional training institutes do, but we don't want to do that. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Yeah, fine. Any other stuff, any other things which you have in mind which you want to ask me? Rest? Yes. No, nothing. In the cloud class? Yes, not in here. ఇక్కడ మనం ఓన్లీ వాడుకుంటాం. Okay, we will create a virtual machine. I will basically show you how to create a virtual machine in DevOps class, nothing more than that. All right, yes. Yeah. Fine. Any other questions? Can a fresher, oh, I would recommend fresher not join DevOps course from Quality Thought, join a cloud class from Quality Thought. The reason is basically if you learn cloud, okay, even for the cloud people, Jenkins and Docker you have to come. And for a fresher, no one will expect more DevOps than Jenkins and Docker for a fresher. Apart from that, you will also learn the cloud. If you are a fresher, right, I would recommend you to join cloud rather than DevOps, because in this DevOps is more. I would not say there is no need for you to learn, but I would say you can do the same thing even if you join the cloud. So there you will be learning two extra things. One is how to work on cloud, and also you'll be learning some DevOps areas. That's more than enough, because you don't need to be extensive. But if you are a person with experience, you need to be extensive. Fresher అయితే ఇది అవసరం లా. Fresher join cloud, right? Yeah. In cloud class, are you going to deal with AWS? Yes, I am going to deal with AWS and Azure. But in the next 2 weeks, we are going to speak about Azure administration. After that, we will be starting with AWS. Right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? It depends on experience. What is the experience which you are looking out for? And approximately, what is your experience right now? 6. You would require it, because 6 కి అంటే నేను చెప్తే అమ్ముకున్నట్టు ఉంటుంది. Don't do that. Go to the monster and basically search for DevOps, and they would ask some cloud skill there. Whether they use it or don't use it, they will ask, because they want you to be prepared for the cloud world. Yes, yes, required. Anything greater than 3, cloud is required. Less than 3, fine. Less than, yes. Okay then. Okay. Any other unsolved mysteries about DevOps? భయాలు కానీ. And one important thing is, DevOps is not an easy journey. Let me remind you this again, right? ₹1,00,000, ₹1,50,000 రావాలంటే కష్టం, ఈజీ కాదు కదా. Earning 1 lakh or 1.5 lakh is not easy, right? So for that, you have to take a pain of DevOps for next 3 months, 3 to 6 months, and then you will have that benefit. So don't assume that this course is simple. Every day I'll come to the class, I'll listen to the class, I'll go to the home. Will not help you. Come to the class, listen to the class, do it, then it would be beneficial. Right? I'm here to guide you. నా క్లాస్కి వస్తే డెవాప్స్ వచ్చేస్తుంది అన్న నమ్మకం నిజంగా నాకు కుదిరితే నేను బాబాని అయిపోతాను. రైట్? అప్పుడు అది ఇంకా ఈజీ బిజినెస్ కదా. రోజు వచ్చి నన్ను చూసి వెళ్ళిపోండి, మీకు ఉద్యోగాలు వచ్చేస్తాను, ఇంత కూడా మాట్లాడాల్సిన పని లేదు. రైట్? సో ఇట్ ఈస్ అ కోర్స్ విచ్ విల్ గివ్ యూ బెనిఫిట్స్ ఇఫ్ యూ డూ ఇట్. సో ఐఎమ్ ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ ఇన్ పీపుల్ హూ వాంట్ టు డూ ఇట్. అదర్స్, ప్లీజ్ డోంట్ వేస్ట్ యువర్ టైం. టైమ్ ఈజ్ వెరీ క్రిటికల్. రైట్? చేస్తాను అన్న నమ్మకం ఉంటేనే చేయనివ్వండి. మీరు రాకపోయినా పర్లేదు, కానీ వచ్చి చేయకుండా తప్పు తెలుసుకుంటే నేనేం చేయగలిగింది ఏం లేదు. రైట్? సో ఫర్ ద పీపుల్ ఇన్ ద క్లాస్ రూమ్, you can come to the quality thought as many times as you want. We don't stop you. For the people in the web, they are getting the recordings, so they are allowed only for one batch. If they want to come for the second batch, they have to speak to the quality thought. But whenever I do any additions into the syllabus, all of my old students will be called. For example, the Windows DevOps, which I am going to start, is a new topic which I have added. So all the people who have learned DevOps from day one, we are sending mails and SMSs to them saying that we have updated our syllabus. That is what you can expect from quality thought. We do that. అంత అదైతే నేను చేయగలను, బట్ నాట్ మేకింగ్ యూ వర్క్, అది మీ రెస్పాన్సిబిలిటీ. దట్ ఈస్ యువర్ కెరియర్. రైట్? ఓకే. Confusing a lot between cloud and DevOps. Can you differentiate between both? Also, I have 4 years of experience. Which one is better for? I will not be able to give an answer saying that. See, my answer will sound more commercial over here if I try to answer. DevOps cheyanavandi అని నేను అనలేను, because for your experience, they are asking cloud also. Right? So whether you learn it from me or whether you learn it on your own, before going to the interview, have at least some idea of a cloud. Right? Even in the cloud, it is better you do mostly DevOps. So DevOps for more than 3 years experience is mandatory. But if you already have a skill already, for example, I am a DBA, I am well versed DBA, I have worked in DBA for 10 years. Yeah, good. Then you can learn only cloud. So your DBA plus the person who knows cloud very well, so you can survive with both the skills. That's the kind of stuff which I'm trying to tell about. Okay. So if my answer is not satisfying you, speak with me personally, with Satish. Based out of your skill, I can tell you, I can suggest you something. Right? Can a system admin of 7 years is experience, no scripting, but have knowledge on AWS? You will learn scripting, right? So you don't have a scripting knowledge today, but have you closed your doors on scripting? స్క్రిప్టింగ్ అన్నది నాకు అసహ్యం, ఈ జీవితంలో ఎప్పుడు వచ్చినా నేను దీన్ని మొఖం చూడండి అనుకోలేదు కదా. విల్ లెర్న్, లెట్ us learn. It's okay. If you don't know till today, don't worry about it. But the only thing which I said in my first point is willingness to learn. If you have that, this will be. So you don't have it right now, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. You can overcome whatever you don't know by practicing it. Okay. To make you understand of that concept is my responsibility, and practicing is your responsibility. Let us go with that stand. Right. Okay. Cloud link or same link or different link? Manikant ఒకసారి అడగండి, నాకు తెలియదు. So I think we will have a different link, Padmakar, if I'm not wrong. But in the same mail, I think you would have other link if you just cross check. Yeah, different link, right? Yeah, it's a different link in the same mail. Yeah, it's in the same mail, right? Yeah, I have 2 years of experience completed. AWS certification, learning DevOps will help me. Yeah. So let me tell you one word about cloud. Right, for the people who are learning with the cloud, please wait for 15 minutes and let me answer you the stuff. But basically what I'm trying to tell you is, as of now, okay, it is very easy to get a job in Azure than AWS. Why? Because not many people know Azure, right? So you learn both, but you can get the job only with Azure. That's how. When you see the capabilities, both are same. It is like driving Hyundai or Maruti car. Your purpose is you want to commute. They might have slightly different or similar capabilities, but the purpose which you and me use the car is same. No matter whoever is the vendor, the same with cloud. Fine. Okay, guys. So let me stop it at that, and I will be starting the cloud demo at 8:45, and let us meet during that time. All right. For the people who are interested in cloud, can stay back. If that is not the case, you have came only for DevOps. Thanks. We had a good, yeah. Yes. As an admin, you don't have a purpose. As a company, you have a purpose because you are going to deliver your products faster to the market, and that is going to gain some market advantage. And you, as a DevOps engineer, are here to achieve that to your organization. అంటే మీరు మీ ఆర్గనైజేషన్ కి, yes, as a DevOps engineer, what is your responsibility if it is a cloud? Is that your question? As an admin, if you are a DevOps person, you are no longer admin. మీరు DevOps అన్నారంటే ఇంకా no longer you are an admin. That's the first understanding which you have to do. So in admin, you can do the stuff manually also, but DevOps is never manual. It is all automated. That's a difference, right? So you'll not have that mixed roles. You'll have, yeah, your organization, while transforming, might have a role which says that you have to do some manual work and also some DevOps work. That's fine. But once you have transformed completely, it is all automation. Yeah, we do maintain. Yeah, here also you'll do, but here rather than your script does. If you go to the cloud, your Terraform script is doing that for you. Your monitoring solution is doing that for you. That's how it is. That's how it is. మనం ఆ పనులే చేస్తాం, కాకపోతే ఆటోమేటెడ్ ఫ్యాషన్. Can you please let me know different job roles in DevOps? In DevOps, we have only two roles, very specific: DevOps engineer, DevOps architect. That's it. There is no other role in DevOps. Are you the person who implements DevOps or who designs DevOps? Designing DevOps is basically an expert level. You need to be experienced person. So for all of us, mostly here, we are DevOps engineers who does some automation in the pipeline which I have spoken about. It could be in any area in your organization. Okay, fine then. Thanks, guys. So that's what I had. I think we had a decent discussion today, and let us meet tomorrow to start from Windows. Let us understand something about Windows and PowerShell and all of that world. Right? Thanks for your time. So if you are a WebSphere administrator, I would recommend come to DevOps first, because any middleware engineer, first you need to learn DevOps, and then you can think of cloud.